fucking shit. Something that makes sense.
Coriolis effect. The Coriolis...
Now, real quick, let's kind of just explain the Coriolis effect in layman's terms. The Coriolis effect is the effect that when the bullet leaves the barrel of the gun, it is actually leaving the surface of the earth. So as the bullet leaves the barrel of the gun, the earth is still rotating, and the bullet is not rotating with the earth. So the earth will actually rotate out from underneath of the bullet while it is in flight.
Very little about Antarctica, I decided to research it. We've been led to believe Antarctica is a massive frozen continent covered in ice, located at the very bottom of our planet Earth, of no real interest except for a few scientific outposts. The opposite truth is the apparent reason we don't hear much about Antarctica is because of its very great interest and cordoned off similar to Area 51. My research turned up that highly respected explorer Admiral Richard E. Byrd visited Antarctica several times. His last two expeditions were codenamed Operation High Jump in 1946 and Operation Deep Freeze in 1955 and 56, the details of which remain classified. Upon his return in 1956, he happened to do a live television interview, presumably under national security restrictions, and briefly went on to say Antarctica was the last great bastion of untouched natural resources, such as coal, oil, and other valuable elements. He indicated they had discovered a 10,000-foot-high mountain range as well as unexplored land beyond the South Pole, not covered by ice, the size of North America. These discoveries were quite astonishing. Admiral Byrd died at his Beacon Hill, Massachusetts home of a reported heart ailment in 1957, somewhat mysteriously. Antarctic exploration reports. There are none. No further publicized Antarctic expeditions. Antarctica became restricted to only those with national security clearances. Next, the United Nations Antarctica Treaty, signed June 1961, that won't even come up for discussion until 2040. A treaty no country has ever broken or fought over, making Antarctica off-limits to everyone and patrolled by the UN International Military, keeping out all unauthorized personnel. After schools and media this time became nearly completely silent about Antarctica, including the reported discovery of new land on Earth, I began to wonder more about what they may not be telling us, leading me to begin questioning and researching other information learned in school. What I found shocked me. We have been led to believe the Earth is a perfectly round blue sphere with water sticking to it, spinning at 1,000 miles per hour in orbit around the Sun, traveling 67,000 miles per hour, with our entire solar system traveling at 500,000 miles per hour around the galaxy, and the entire galaxy hurtling through space, resulting from the ever-expanding Big Bang created universe. The opposite truth is, better make sure you're sitting down. Shockingly, the Earth is flat and stationary, potentially covered by a solid dome firmament, as described in the Bible. Our flat Earth appears to be surrounded by an ice wall, estimated at 200 feet plus in height, encircling the entire flat Earth plane. I know, that may bring about the question, why hasn't someone just gone over the 200-foot ice wall to take a photo of the dome? Well, because the international military will stop you, thanks to the 1961 UN Antarctic Treaty's no-fly and no-sail zones firmly in place to protect this earthly secret. So before you say, what you may be thinking. I know Earth can't be flat. I trust I live on a blue spinning sphere. It has to be
Are some
true.
of the basic observations someone can make to ascertain that the Earth is neither a globe or spinning?
We've been taught that we're on a ball spinning around the sun, and so to hear that you might be on a flat plane, motionless at the center of the universe with all the celestial bodies spinning around you, just as it appears, actually comes as a surprise. But it shouldn't, because our eyes, experience, and common sense all tell us that the horizon is perfectly flat, and we feel motionless. We don't hear ourselves whizzing by at thousands of miles per hour. No matter how high amateur rockets or balloons have gone up, the horizon rises to the eye of the observer all the way up, and that's only consistent with a flat plane. Their theory just gets more and more wild as time has gone on. And so, yeah, it began with the spinning Earth going 1,000 miles per hour, which is then circling around the sun at 67,000 miles per hour, which then they decided the sun wasn't a heliocentric model, but more of an acentric model, where they don't know where the center is, and we're just exploding out of a big bang. So the sun, we're spinning around the sun, and then the sun and us are spinning around the Milky Way galaxy, they say, at 500,000 miles per hour. And then the entire Milky Way galaxy, they say, is shooting off from the Big Bang at 670 million miles per hour, almost the speed of light. So there's at least four rip-raging, contradictory motions supposedly going at all times, yet you don't experience any of it, nor can you measure any of it using the stars. The flat motionless Earth, not only is it the greatest conspiracy of all, it's also the easiest to prove. I mean, it just is flat and motionless, just as it appears. Look into it more and more, make it a thing to try and debunk it, if you will. You know, even if you want to do it that way. Negative reinforcement works too. Try as you will, you're only going to find proofs for the flat motionless Earth. You're not going to confirm that you're on a spinning ball.
No, not one picture of the Earth. Imagine that. 2016, and we still don't have a picture of our home. Thousands of satellites supposedly orbiting the Earth. Why can't we get thousands of pictures? One shot with the whole Earth in it. Hell, we should have a channel on cable that shows the Earth rotating 24 hours a day, every day. Nope. Let's listen to NASA's very own Robert Simon talk about how we get our fake pictures of Earth.
In 1972, we saw our home in a new way. Apollo 17 astronauts snapped this picture.
It gave people the first look at their home planet as a single entity.
Last week, scientists at NASA released this. The shot is compiled from data from NASA's VEERS instrument, which orbits the Earth about every 100 minutes, taking measurements of light coming off the planet. That can be translated into ribbons of imagery like this, and then into one of these. And this is just the latest in NASA's Earth from Space album, which may be one of the most mind-expanding collections of images in human history. Then in 2002, Blue Marble 2.0. NASA's Rob Simon made this. Simon's job is...
It's primarily taking data and making pictures out of it.
That's what this is. A composite of data sets from several different instruments translated into a picture.
So we actually had to take clouds out.
They stashed the clouds for later and went onto the ocean. That came from an instrument that measures phytoplankton in the sea.
Where it was low, I colored it dark blue because they're low mostly in mid-oceans. And then where it was a little bit higher, it was like a little bit brighter green.
Then add the clouds back in.
There's a small problem with it because there's a very slight gap in between each orbit.
So some of those are painted on.
It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
Then
There was another layer to sort of simulate the atmosphere.
and then there's this little bright spot.
It's called the specular highlight. So it's the reflection of sunlight off of water.
Those are the pieces, but you can't just slap them all together.
It just didn't look realistic. It looks kind of flat, or the clouds are sort of too see-through. So I just hit Command Z a lot.
There's artistry to creating the world.
what I imagine it to be. Unfortunately, I'm not an astronaut. I've never been to space, but I've looked at these images over and over again, trying to sort of get the essence of it. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
Excuse me, I'm allergic to bullshit. Not having one authentic picture of the Earth alone is a huge red flag.
Christoph, let me ask you, why do you think that Truman has never come close to discovering the true nature of his world until now?
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.